Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm Mark.
I'm Kay. I'm Kay Hu. I'm work for Salesforce as a sales rep.
Okay.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you for taking this time for meeting with me. So before I jump in, I reach out because I know that Lena's strong marketing performance and strong company sided growth. So our Lena's is evaluating CRM solution to help your teams um, increase sales efficiencies. So in this 15 minutes, I would like to understand about your goals and challenges. How's that sounds?
Sounds good.
Thank you. So before I jump in, is that okay? I taking notes while I follow along.
Absolutely. And if you need some water, there's water right there as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So I would like to hear your priorities and some challenges with Linux current systems, and by starting basic questions like how does that work and where do you see the improvement for the current system?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest challenges today is our systems are pretty manual,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a lot of time to get all the information collected for the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 200 salespeople,
Mm-hmm.
and if we're asking them to give us their files on prospects that they're working on, then we're waiting for those 200 people to aggregate it with their manager to send it to us in order to get a picture of how many opportunities are out there. We're B2B, so we sell to a dealer,
Mm-hmm.
and the dealer sells our systems to a homeowner like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So that the speed of information, the accuracy of the information, getting multiple file types, even though we give them a template of a scorecard, that visibility is one of the biggest things that I'm trying to help our VP of sales solve is how do we get a better visibility. The other big challenge is we want to provide our salespeople with information in a timely manner as well on their existing customers. Every one of them manage 20 or 30 current companies, and those companies do sales with us. They are involved in marketing programs, and so if that salesperson is going to communicate with that company and how they're doing with us, they have to receive a lot of information, and so my team has to send a lot of manual files. We obviously don't send a file that has every customer across the company because we don't want one salesperson in Dallas to have access to all the information across the country. So we try to give them information for their territory or their district, and then we let the leader. So sometimes that tedious process can be very hard. And that really leads to the security of the information. Sometimes if there's not enough time to cut the files up into relevant, then we might provide more information they need and tell them to filter down to what they should look at. So just, we want to make sure our information, if our salespeople leave, they don't take all of our data with them. So those are a few of the challenges today.
Okay, so may I ask what so I know that Linus is currently working with Microsoft Office and Excel, and how's that working like on your teams?
So like I said, it's we're using all the Microsoft products. Excel is probably the biggest product that we use, and we provide templates to the field, or we send information about the programs. So again, the biggest issue there is making sure that they completely fill out the information. That when we get the files back, it's in the same format, and we don't have to do a lot of adjustment to the files. If they're using Outlook or they're using Word, again, it's 200 people using it different ways. The consistency is hard. And then because they're sending us files, that data ages. So if it takes me 2 weeks to get everybody's files and aggregate them, and I provide that to the VP of sales, then now it's 2-3 weeks later, that data is old. And if I want to go back and get more information, we can't do that every week, right? So we're doing it at certain pieces throughout the quarter to get an understanding, for instance, of our pipeline. And so that can cause issues for our VP of sales not to have the most accurate and up-to-date information.
I see. So based on what I'm hearing, so do the sales reps ever struggles with duplicate our outreach since there's no central trackings?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, we don't always have every person who provides the information, so we don't always get a full picture of it, and they don't always have the most relevant information to share with their customers. So, you know, their productivity may not be as high as it could be because they spend a lot of time trying to find the information, or they might have to call 4 different people in marketing to get information about each of their programs. So that it just, you know, we want them to be in front of their customers and in front of prospects as much as possible. And so anything we can do to reduce their non-selling time would be valuable to us.
Okay, I see. So here's a common another question about how does lack of the real-time reportings impact to the decisions in leadership levels?
So again, they can only react to the information they have in front of them. So when we're looking at where we want to make investments, if we're getting a prospect to switch their brand and they're going to switch from Carrier to Lennox or Train to Lennox, they're not just going to do that without any kind of incentive, right? There has to be something in it for them. So our leaders have to look at the incentives that are available and determine what incentives should we offer to which customers. And so if we end up making incentives to customers or prospects who aren't as big of an opportunity because we don't see the other opportunity, then we might not get the return on investment that we need.
Okay, I see. I understand. As I mentioned before, if there's no real time forecasting, how challenging is it plan for season demand fluctuations?
You know, I think it is challenging because you don't have accurate information. So that's one of the reasons why we're considering to do something that's more of a system than a collection of, you know, what we've been doing individually. I think the other challenge though is we have been around for a long time. You know, we are a 130-year-old company. So we have salespeople who've been with us 20 years, 30 years. So they're used to doing things the way they do them. So if I'm going to give them something new to do, how am I confident that they're going to use it? So that's one of the questions I have for Salesforce is, what do you do to help companies with the change management?
Okay.
You know, how are companies like ours making the decision to invest in the technology, and then how do they get their people to use it, and what are those things that need to be in place so that if we invest money, we're going to actually see the impact of that.
Okay. So based off what I'm hearing, so Linux rely needs solutions that have unite platforms for lead check-ins and automatic reportings and real-time collaborations. And how much do you think that will be saved for time for weeklies?
Um, Again, I'm gonna go back to the selling time versus non-selling time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they probably spend about 70% of their time
Mm-hmm.
selling in front of the customer and 30% non-selling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I would want to be able to measure, is if we're having an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we use a tool like Salesforce, could we get them to be 80% of their time selling?
Okay.
So I think if we're going to spend that kind of money,
Mm-hmm.
we need to see those productivity gains. We also need to see that it's helping us measure towards our goals. So number one is new business.
Mm-hmm.
We have a goal for new business this year that we have to reach. So in order to reach that, we've got to have visibility to, do we even have that potential to reach new business? When we look at our existing customers, we want to reduce our attrition so we don't lose more business. So, we measure what our attrition rate is,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to keep that steady or reduce it.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can work with those customers and we can grow them. And then, in the environment we're in today, we have to keep up with our pricing
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of supply chain demands. There's a lot of, you're hearing about tariffs today, and all those kinds of things. So we have to make sure that we are staying on top of things from a pricing standpoint, so that we make the margins we need to make and that we help our customers keep their pricing intact. Because if we keep passing on pricing to them and they don't raise their price to the consumer, we don't want them to go out of business, but we can't stay where we're at. If our costs are increasing, we've got to adjust for that. So those are three key areas that we need to measure at a better level, and we would want our CRM to help us in that.
Thank you. So how's the decisions making progress will be made in Linux?
So I work very closely with our VP of Sales. So I'm providing a lot of input into what things we should consider. So I'm part of the decision making, but I will need to get my VP of Sales approval, with anything that we're going to do, because it's his sales team that's going to be impacted. He's got several region directors that report to him that manage the sales team, so they're going to have input. And then IT, because obviously this is a cloud-based system. We'll need to have involvement with IT on the security side and how we're doing things from a networking. So those are really in addition to myself, it's the VP of Sales and IT are the two other major stakeholders.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. So based off what I'm hearing, learners need a solutions that can provide uh, really efficient communications platforms that emerge a real-time data and easy accessible. So if we can provide the seamless platforms, as you know, Salesforce will be that something that will worth to exploring further in our next meetings. Um, we can would it make sense to set up a demo with the leaderships